The arrival shuttle docks and I disembark, heading for chemistry.
I didn't see you get on.
On my way, I stop off at the garden to swipe the buckets and a crowbar. Nobody's going to grow anything in here anyway, whereas I'm making chemicals in bulk. While I'm in the neighborhood filling out my gear, I stop in at primary tool storage. I get wire cutters from the vending machine, then grab a screwdriver someone left on the ground. Realizing I don't yet have a breath mask and oxygen tank, I grab those too. Even though it's the start of the shift, I check out how much is in the tank. You never know when you're relying on equipment you find on the ground. Looks like the chef has laid out some appetizers. It's reassuring to know that someone's handling food preparation and that the entire crew isn't likely to have a fight over a few cans of cold soup from the vending machine in order to survive. I top off the old tank with a donut. Delicious. I get to chemistry where my colleague has taken the workstation closest to medbay, which works for me since I hate working at one of those where everyone in medbay can see you and peppers you with requests. And chemistry's not the best thing to interrupt. The chaplain comes in asking why I cling to my flesh. Is this a survey? He mentions it'll decay and fail me. If you think the skin's bad, you should meet my boss. They retort, there's no truth in flesh, only betrayal. I admit that sounds familiar. They add, there's no strength in flesh, only weakness. There's no consistency in flesh, only decay. Meat consistency is a kitchen problem, not the pharmacy's. They keep going. There's no certainty in flesh, but death. I might be oversimplifying, but I simply can't fault their logic. I let them know that I understand, urging them to get to the point. He asks me to allow him to bless me.
I'll try anything once.
The chaplain blesses me in the name of Omnissiah, our heavenly savior. I let him know I feel better already. There's a certain clarity and drive for efficiency that washes over me. He asks the divine Omnissiah that I find strength and purity in the machine. I demonstrate my righteous understanding, saying, machines don't fail like flesh does. The chaplain does some hand-waving, splashes some holy water at me, and wisely instructs me to go to robotics to get augmented. Couldn't agree more. I would like unfailing machinery in place of all my weak flesh. I will become machine. I'll never sleep. I'll keep my eyes wide open. I get to the robotics desk and let them know. I need augments. PP 1000 perhaps. I go into extra detail about how weak flesh is so they get the hint. I don't have insurance. The guy at the desk lets me know he and his partner are both new to the job. I casually drop the name Omnissiah, letting them know I'm on official business for a literal space god. They caution me. They can't even make a normal cyborg yet, and suggest I come back later. I'm about to leave when they offer a HUD in the meantime. I excitedly agree it's a step in the right direction. They warn me again. They don't know how to do the surgery, but they'll try, cautioning me that I might die. I reiterate, I'm on official cult business, so if it has to be a one-way ticket to Heaven's Gate, beam me to the Jonestown mothership, I'm committed. Contrary to what they might think, I asked for this. The roboticist meets me in the entrance, escorting me through their laboratory into a back room with a small surgery bed. I lay down, ready to be more human than human. I suddenly realize that it's very likely nobody even knows where I am. Could I have told someone where I was going? What if these guys aren't actually good? I wonder if anything were to happen, would anyone even know this is where I'd been? That this is where I died? The only thing this room needs is a leather casting couch. One of the other roboticists rushes in, quickly closing the door behind them. Someone on the other side repeatedly tries to open it. The roboticist relents, opening the door, revealing the other pharmacist, who demands to be turned into a robot. It seems the chaplain's been busy today. The glittery shimmer from their face draws my attention. Is that a grill? You're a pharmacist wearing gold sunglasses and a grill? And your hair, long golden dreadlocks? Well, it's definitely not a generic look. He sees my roboticist struggling and tells him to use surgical gloves and a mask. It's not inspiring confidence in me that that's what's causing my roboticist's difficulty. They both leave, and after a few moments, my roboticist admits this thing he hasn't started yet is difficult. Hey buddy, not so loud or they'll promote you. He seems to get confused and says he's going to make something and leaves me here, waiting. The first thing he's done that reminds me of an actual doctor. I'm wondering what a HUD is, and if it will improve my weak flesh, running scenarios in my head. The code red alert cuts through the silence, jarring me. I can hear the station stir to life, lights coming on, people moving in the nearby rooms. Except the roboticist laboratory. It's quiet there. I decide I'll hold off on my surgery for now. We're well into the shift and I still haven't made any medicine. Then I realize I need someone to let me out. I'm trapped. Luckily, the roboticist returns, admitting I'll probably die if we try it, and he can't find the thing. I let him know that's unfortunate, but we can circle back to it later. I'm sure medbay are getting pissy about lacking medicine, especially considering that on the way out, I see the other chemist in the robotics laboratory with the chaplain, which means there's nobody making medicine. Sure enough, some doctor asks over the radio where the medicine is. I get to work on making some cryoxidone. My chemistry partner returns. I put 120 units of cryoxidone into bottles and load them into refrigerated medicine storage. I let him know he can use the bucket. He races towards me, gets in close, asking if, hypothetically, he were to make potassium patches and give someone water, if that person would explode. Technically, most people have water in them by default. Whether it would be possible through patches, I don't know, but I say sure it would. Sounds good, but we're not going to do that, right? The roboticist comes up to the window, plopping some lungs down on the counter, asking if we want them. Sir, this is a pharmacy? Wait, whose lungs are those? How did you get them? Weren't you going to operate on me? You can't install a HUD that I could probably wear like sunglasses, but you can remove lungs? My pharmacy partner declines, saying flesh is weak, adding that he accepts only machinery. The roboticist picks up the lungs and throws them at a doctor, who has a tail. She notes how good it is that the station has chemists today. The roboticist asks the other chemist to come with him. The other chemist then slides a beaker across the counter, telling the roboticist to drink all of it. I'm having trouble focusing on my work with all the action going on, but I managed to make 120 units of mannitol. The other chemist reiterates to drink it all. Then he tells him it's just potassium. The roboticist then asks if he's sure, to which the chemist answers, yes, it's in bananas. The roboticist actually drinks it. The chemist mentions that the roboticist may want to chase it with some water so he doesn't get sick. Wow. The roboticist then asks the chemist to come with him, offering to make him into a cyborg. The chemist agrees, jumping the counter, and they both disappear down the hall. What if the roboticist you gave all the potassium gets midway through your robot surgery and then drinks that water? This is like one of those animal documentaries where something venomous is attacking something spiky, but they're both going to die. Except, who knows if anything will happen to either of them. I finish the mannitol pills, loading them into my chemist's satchel and delivering them to the refrigerated medicine storage. The other chemist returns, shivers, circles the floor like a cat, and then collapses, gagging and retching, before leaving again. One of those nights. I finish 120 mutadone, which I make into 1-unit pills. I then make a set of iron tablets as the other chemist returns. I'm making another batch of iron tablets when some security guy says he needs sugar. Then another guy joins him, saying he also needs sugar. Someone else notes to eat junk food. I make the pills and load them, as well as the iron pills I was making, into the public chem storage. Then, when everyone leaves, I pull everything out of that storage and put it in the medbay facing one. As I open the counter window, they spring a cure on me that needs to be put into pills. The cure to disease Y7U6. See, this is why you work at the North Workstation and close the blinds. I make 30 half-unit pills of the vaccine. I take stock of the medicine in the storage just to get an idea of what the other chemist is doing. From the looks of it, not much. Some brute and burn patches. The doctor with the tail notes the chem fridge is empty still. She's probably pissy from getting hit by a pair of stray lungs, which are still there. Other chemist lets her know he doesn't like her tone. She tells him to suck an egg. Wow, the dude with the golden grill, locks, sunglasses, mixing up chemicals is actually more professional than the medical doctor. Yeah, she's pulling out the 1950s rebuttals, but someone should still space her. I'm checking the medicine in stock again, seeing what might be most pressing to prioritize when whatever the other chemist is working on rapidly expands and the mixture explodes. The welding fuel containers catch fire, adding to the flame, singeing the entire room, myself and the other chemist. I pile out of the burning room, dropping to the floor with the medical staff, who were also caught in the fiery blast. We all roll on the floor, trying to put out the flames. It's clear to me, Omnissiah has shown me the weakness of my flammable flesh, as opposed to the immortal metal. This is further supported when a droid goes in and effortlessly pulls out the other chemist. The chaplain notes that we lived. They try to start the other chemist's heart. Apparently, the blast did a number on him, which is sort of understandable, and I'm not pointing fingers, but the explosion did come from his workstation, that he was in front of and working at. I go into the lab, lamenting his destruction. The droid sets to work, making it right. As I'm laying in the sleeper, Doctor with a Tail yells out that the chemist, whose office was just at goddamn Flashpoint, are refusing to work. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it okay that I lay here a minute? My weak OEM flesh is becoming unbarbecued. Also, I've been making other things. After they put the chemistry lab back together, Doctor with a Tail notes to make strange reagent, which requires the Chief Medical Officer's hypospray. Some people like to just sit in one spot doing nothing but bitching. That is this bitch. Whoa, other chemist. You may have almost killed me, but I agree with you. She is crazy. Then everyone in front of chemistry, starting with a minor, says they're sick, including other chemists. The sleeper I'm in beeps out that the patient's addiction was cured. I mean, damn, just shout it out. A cultist tries to kill a security officer, and Doctor with a Tail comes down with a well-deserved, well-needed case of space sleep disorder. Getting back to my workstation, I notice the now flash-burnt lungs are resting atop a pile near my desk. The other chemist says he needs a bag. I'm confused, and he mentions it's for pills. Before I can show him the vending machine in the room that dispenses chemist's satchels, where I got mine, he runs off. I try to chase after him, but I get trapped by needy medical staff who say they need salt. The other chemist returns and we both start making salt pills. I'm sniffling. I make 120 units of salt in my bucket. As I'm taking it to the ChemMaster 3000 machine, I turn bald. As I'm making it into pills, I become blurry-eyed. I finish making the pills and load them into the storage, letting the blurry barnyard medical masses lumbering around the outside of the pharmacy know that their salt licks are ready for them. Then I let them know I can't see. I get back to the machine and start making some more salt pills when I feel the other chemist's syringe kindly hit me with 10 units of Oculine. That lasts about 13 seconds before my eyesight becomes blurry again. They burn. Something inside my head hurts a lot. I make another 120 units of salt. I convert them into pills and put them in the chemistry storage, taking one for myself. I scan my vitals, noting the virus H7W8V, which is in stage 3 of 5 and requires salt. It also notes that I may have a concussion. I was fine before I exploded, so maybe that has something to do with it. I work for a bit longer, deciding this is taking a lot longer than expected, so I take a vaccine, unsure which virus it cures. Someone notes over the radio that the AI should announce the cure is salt. I announce over the radio that the cure is salt. See, that's proactive, not sitting around telling a poor, frail human, limited by their own burnt flesh, bald head, concussed brain, and blurry eyes, how to do their job. I create another 120 units of salt, making another 12 pills. I get to the storage and take another salt pill. It doesn't seem to be working, but I'm not a doctor. I make another set of salt pills, delivering them to the storage. I then become frustrated and go into medical and yell out to the blur that my eyes are bad. The shapes shuffle around, drifting closer. I say again, I can't see. Someone else notes they still can't see, and that their eyes are damaged. I wander around the station a bit, finding myself in robotics. I ask the duck sitting at the counter if they have any of those mechanical eyes. The guy tells me to ask someone else, like the R&D next door or medical. There's some sci-fi noises, and the roboticists start accidentally beating each other, then accidentally putting restraints on each other, then accidentally restraining the guy that asks you why you're hitting the other guy. Not the kind of people you want installing sensitive organs in your head anyway. I decide to go elsewhere. I get to the end of the hall, and because of portal technology or something, the same roboticists are fighting there. I get back to medical. I stand in the center of the room and announce that I am blind. One of the security personnel asks me to make holy water for the brig. I need wine to do that. The bar has wine. I rummage along the hallway trying to find my way into the bar, which apparently has a boxing ring installed, so the door's been moved. I get to the kitchen counter and tell them I can't see to go to the bar because I'm blind. They come all the way out, navigating through the bar to the hallway to tell me they're blind as well, and they would like to go to medbay. The entrance to medbay hasn't moved. Here you go. I message the person letting them know their specifically requested holy water is done. I make another batch of salt tablets. I make even more salt tablets. As I'm delivering it to storage, I pass a shape that resembles not a chemist who has wandered into the pharmacy. They say, "Can you make Oculine, please?" Oculine requires space fungus, Space fungus must be gathered off the walls. I set out to the dangerous, unsafe maintenance tunnels where I scrape the fungus off the walls. Oculine heals ear and eye damage. I get 2 bottles of Oculine from Virology's vending machine. Then I get 4 syringes of Spacicillin too, since I'm here. It'll save me a step of using the space fungus I just collected when I get back to the lab. I put 1 bottle of Oculine in the storage fridge. I drink some of the Oculine. I have 8.4 units of Oculine in my system. The guy asks me to scan him. I do, and it notes there's an advanced disease detected. The cure is salt. I let him know he needs salt. I accidentally throw the scanner at them. The doctor gives him a salt pill. I put the remaining Oculine bottle in the fridge. Sad about blurred vision, I take a pill I know resolves some issues, and that we have plenty of. To my surprise, it actually cures my vision. Mutadone cures brain issues. I guess I should have been clued in that I had brain issues when I forgot how to use various things momentarily, but unfortunately, brain issues must have prevented me from realizing I had brain issues. Figuring others might be in the same situation, I advertise the success. Try Mutadone. I hear a patient ask for Oculine, which a doctor has moved to the counter besides the storage. I again advertise the fruits of my pharmacological test, that Mutadone cured blurry vision. The AI asks over medical chat whether chemists have been told to produce holy water. I let the AI know that holy water was in the fridge, and I let them know that I informed the hop through their PDA. Another poor soul comes complaining about blurred vision. I tell them Mutadone. They say back, Mutadone. Another person asks if I mean the pill. Someone else notes that it only comes in pills. I make another 120 units of salt, make the pills, then make another 120 units of salt, make it into pills, and deliver it to the storage. I notice the other chemist left a bunch of sugar pills on their pill producer, so I load them into the chemistry storage. I make another 120 units of cryoxidone, put it into bottles, and add it to the storage. Someone outside laments their eyes are fuzzy. I tell them to try Mutadone, just after the doctor gives them something with Oculine in it and tells them it's all good. Awkward. Maybe I should stop trying to hawk my medicine wares and leave the medical staff to worry about the patients. I'm looking over the inventory when the clown and a golem come in saying that the golem is sick. I let them know I'm not a doctor, holding off on suggesting Mutadone. They seem to know what they need though, charcoal. We don't have any, so I scurry back to my workstation to get it started. I put it in the oven, but it'll be a few minutes. I message them to let them know that the charcoal's on its way. The doctor gives this guy 2 sugar pills. I give the guy complaining about being blind some Mutadone. Can't quit slinging my miracle drug, Mutadone. There's a bridge announcement that the chief engineer and chief medical officer are confirmed to be cultists.
Got brain issues? Try Mutadone today. Come on down to the station's pharmacy, located directly near Medbay, and browse our wonderful selection of pills, patches, and liquids. And don't forget to ask about becoming part of our chemicalogical maker team. That means apply for a job. Try Mutadone today.
I make another 120 units of sugar. They're handing them out like sugar pills. The oven dings. My charcoal is done. The security officer breaks into the chemistry and takes over the workstation. I don't know if he's the other chemist replacement, but I don't see my charcoal. It's a security officer. What the hell? I make conversation asking if he's getting the charcoal. It didn't just finish, but I have broad shoulders if they want to blame me for not having this totally random concoction prior to them asking. He steps aside, revealing the nest of bottles he had between his butt cheeks. He says, "We've been asking." Yeah, well, I tell him, I know, that's why I made it. Then I realize he's just made holy water. He was lackadaisically saying that he'd been asking for holy water. He wasn't saying they were asking for charcoal. This isn't the golem guy. This is about holy water? He's saying we've been asking like he had to come all the way down to chemistry, a sec officer, to show me, the chemist, how it's done. He asks me to let him out. Oh yeah, hang on. I just gotta let you know something real quick. I already made it. I tell him I made it an hour ago. I speak big letters so he can hear me. I tell him I told the hop. His tone changes, almost stammering as he comes up with implausible excuses. He suggests Perhaps they've used it already. The CMO was a cultist. But I calmly, very calmly explained that I also announced it to the AI over the medical channels. Still, very calmly, I explained that I double-checked the fridge, and it was still there. Let's take a look now. What is this,
Did I miss it?
he asks. I take it out and show it to him, mentioning how I told them it said water. It feels like I've rubbed a puppy security officer's nose in it long enough, so I open the door for him and he quickly scurries off. He knows what he did. I go back to making chems. A surgeon notes that we need midochloride. I'm on it. I start making one of the components, cryoxidone. I grab the other bucket from security's chem master when an anomaly alert notes high levels of radiation is detected near the station, warning everyone to get into maintenance.
High levels of radiation detected near the station. Please evacuate into one of the shielded maintenance tunnels.
An interruption for sure. I get into the maintenance tunnel next to the operating room. I wait a minute, watching from the safety of the tunnel while green waves ripple through the medical area. I make the synth flesh. Dang, some visitors. Everyone went blind at once, they say. They want oculine, and note that they're blind. I mean, I was just in the middle of creating a chemical that is phase 2 of 3 of components for midochloride, but perhaps I can push oculine next in line. I tell them to make some oculine themselves, or check the other vending machine by virology. They drink some wine and then they say oculine. What do we have here? A genius. I tell them to try some mutadone, pointing to the fridge. They say no, insisting they need oculine and that they're blind. I'm trying to continue my work despite the distraction when I'm moved by some rando bumping into me. I drag both of them out. The first person crawls back in, pushing me when I try to drag them again, demanding that I make oculine. I leave, wandering around the morgue, going to the medical break room. I check the vending machine. No oculine. I get back to the lab and drag them out. They push at me again. I run up and close the door and window. I swear to God, they say, I will fire you. That's an unusual retort from an assistant. Well, tell the president of space, why don't you? I wander around a bit to throw off their scent, and then I get back to the workstation and continue making the midochloride. After a moment, it dawns on me. I'm not alone. How did you get back in here? Wait, you're really the CMO? They ask if I'm making oculine. I tell them no, and that I'm retired. I leave to go get to the hotline where I intend to relinquish my job and become an assistant. I check my PDA for whoever the hop might be. There isn't one. It falls to the captain. Ugh. I ask if the hotline is open, hoping the captain will see it and take the hint to come to the personnel office. A surgeon asks the same thing. I can only imagine they too are meeting the new CMO and are as equally impressed as I am and intend to retire as well. I leave the hotline, stepping into the middle of the hall as I watch 3 guys bash a security crate. I get back to chemistry. I set to work making the oculine. As I do, a robot stops by, asking me about some oculine, though they do it politely. Great, the equipment is hounding me too. I make 60 units of oculine, putting it into the chem storage and announcing that it's there, pointing to the freezer for the present company to suckle up on the teat. And yet, the robot states they can't use the freezer. Machines are supposed to be superior. I announce over the medical channel that there's oculine in the fridge, pulling a bottle out and setting it on the ground for the robot. They take off, dragging it behind them. I set the other bottle on the ground too. Have at it, you ingrates. I'm making another oculine batch when a level 3 biohazard alert comes out.
Level 3 biohazard aboard the station. All personnel must contain the outbreak.
I finish another 60 units of oculine. I make 40 units of synth flesh as patches and put them in the fridge. I make another 40 units of synth flesh patches. I make 120 units of midochloride. I load it into the fridge. I overhear the rabble discussing eye damage when I tell them about mutadone pills. The crew transfer shuttle has been called. The guy says, "This sucks." I ask, "What's wrong?" He says, "Sorry, we removed all your synth flesh." Things have quieted down, so I stroll around medbay. I see a surgeon loading a patient into a sleeper, and I can't help but remark, it's a hell of a shift. He asks me to lend him a hand. I rush out asking if he needs chems. He grabs the guy and runs off. I try to follow, but he disappears, presumably into one of the rooms. Okay, were you not talking to me then? I'm pretty hungry, so I get to the kitchen and one bite of burger. Wait, did I just eat the last bite of a burger? Ew. And get carrots. Probably a popular dish considering the entire station needed oculine. Yeah, okay, well, like we had some. I eat some carrots. What's up, Doc? And I take a few bites of enchiladas, setting down what's left for the next person. The crew transfer shuttle docks. I rush back to chemistry to get my work packed up for transport back to Central Command. I fill my bag and make my way to the shuttle, noticing a doctor having come down with space sleeping disease, so I drag them with me. I get to the shuttle, drop them off, just as some clown uses a blinding flash. I empty the contents of my bag on the floor in the medical area, taking a seat in the cabin. The shuttle departs. I go into the medical area and complain that I'm fat. A couple of medical staff work on a patient while I lament I should have come up with a chemical formula for weight loss, then I'd be rich. There's a blinding flash. The guy dies. I note that if we were all machines, this wouldn't be happening. The doctor mentions how the dead guy turned into dust and that they've never seen that before. I chime in, I've never seen that before either. I offer some epinephrine, admitting that I'm not a doctor. I wonder aloud what cures dust. With that, the shuttle docks, the end of a long, interesting shift.